Hello? That should work. Just testing the microphone. So I do apologise if you can hear absolutely everything. I'm not entirely sure why it's not picking up. There we go. So the microphone is working. I'm not entirely sure on its loudness or quality, but we'll see. In a bit. There we go. That should be better. We should be good to go. Apologies for the delay, everyone. I really do apologise for the difficulties. We should be all good to go now, and we can carry on. Welcome to the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix Round 4 of the Summer Season 5. We're finally all sorted. Tomorrow's going to be much better, that's for sure. Bravotto having a tricky start, unfortunately, with their front wing damage. But everything else going pretty smoothly. A brilliant launch from the Scotsman on the inside line, saw them jump into P1. Cheyenne is not shying away, however, though, very, very much in this battle. Now, I do want to apologise for the stream quality before we get back into the racing. It's just the way it is for now. Here we go, once again, an overtaking opportunity. This time, Cheyenne looks like they are going to go for it, but they back out, side by side behind, forcing the space to be available as Eager Pro. Jericho Willis going to be switchbacked, and they do indeed. Cheyenne once again spotting the breaking point, I should really call it now, as they're not in a rush to get past Zingy, and that looks, well, that would suggest that Cheyenne is confident in their pace at this stage of the Grand Prix, which is a bit of a concern for Zingy themselves. Zingy, of course, may be confident, but if they can't break away, they can't break away. There is a move in a bit more of an interesting place to overtake. Now, oh, a big snap of oversteer from the South Korean driver. If it was a few games ago when DRS was available into turn 13, I think that is, turn 12 maybe, then I would say, okay, yeah, understandable that there's an overtake if it's the opening lap. But lap 3, a little bit different. 25 laps in this race, not so many compared to other circuits. Of course, it's still matching the overall distance for Grand Prix requirements, but it does go pretty quick. You don't get that many opportunities. You will be in the race, it will feel like it's going to take a long time, and then all of a sudden you blink, you've missed it, and you are done. Once you get to that pit stop phase, it will be over. Talking about pit stops, well, we want to see what the tyres are first before that. There is the gap to the interval. We've got all our settings on the screen now, and we're good to go to the end of the Grand Prix. The top 4 are breaking away as Gregorio is currently splitting the field. Not their fault. They've got a few champions ahead of them. And the legendary Faravar, who has just been absolutely on fire so far. Gregorio does have Aaron, Nifo, and Blake for company. And it's PJ and Mark further behind. Yellowek having issues, Cravato making that pit stop, and Sunby having a problem on the previous lap. PJ over time penalty. That's once again Igor and Jericho Willis switching positions as they can't decide who should go where. Ooh, and that is contact. That could be it for Igor if they're not careful. 9/10 away, Jericho Willis from the top 2. They do have overtake mode available, a straight line mode and overtake mode. So it will allow them to catch up a little bit. Zingy isn't in a rush to overtake Faravar, so they do slow down. That's allowing Jericho to get back through, but are struggling a little bit, you know. This could be the opportunity to split, but Zingy doesn't go for the overtake, and it will bring the McLaren right back into the battle. That was an opportunity missed from the Scotsman there. I know it would have left them very vulnerable to Faravar immediately, but you know, look at this. Now Jericho is right at the back of the Red Bull car. And they are side by side once again. Jericho Willis and Eager Pro. Absolutely incredible. They know that in this regulation of car, you can go for moves when you're in a train and not really feel so much of a consequence. Does mean that you get a bit heated with your sparring partner out on track. And that's what we almost saw. We almost saw a big breakup between the drivers. They were going to find it difficult to get back together, but they did. They're all good to go now. Further behind, we're also very close together. That's Blake and Aaron. Can we see Blake getting feisty and go for the move they used to do back in F1 22? I don't think we saw them in 23, 4 or 5. But welcome back a few years later. The American driver legend across the F1.5 championships, F1.5 EU and F1.5 NA/SA. He may have done a race or two in the F1 tier, being one of the quickest drivers on the grid. Are we going to see a quick overtake into the final corner though? We just don't get to see it quite yet. Now, something that we need to keep our eyes on is not only that gap once again breaking away, that is it. Igor has lost overtake mode. Crucial stuff here in Saudi Arabia. And now Jericho Willis is going to have to do all the hard work. They've got overtake mode. They've got 60% battery. Igor Pro's going to have to let Jericho get through. Also to note though, we have Nifo on the hard tyre. Obviously, Cravato has made that pit stop, but for all the starters, Nifo's the only driver to start on the hard compound tyre, and that's going to bring them into it a little bit later on, having that alternate strategy. Will it bring them into the race-winning kind of scenarios? I'm not sure, but if you look at the mini-map, they're not that far away. As long as they don't get in a angle with Gregorio here, then they could be good to go, but they are going to have to try and dispatch of the racing ball as soon as possible. A regular racing ball driver, Nifa Jan is, wanting to drive for Racing Bull today, but opted for the free pit box by driving the Williams car instead. They were looking for, as they are the reserve driver in all of these summer season races, or have been as they've gone so far. That's Jericho Willis not able to make a move on Igapro. Igapro's still dead on the battery, but going quicker than Jericho Willis is, and 1.5 seconds away. Cheyenne is not holding back from Zingy. They are following each other closely to make sure that Igor doesn't have an opportunity, and there's no battery on that Aston Martin, and here surely comes Jericho Willis, but they're also dead on the battery. They've got the overtake mode to help them out a little bit, but it's not really going to make a difference. Zingy stays in front. That's how that's going to go, and here we do see Nifo get through on the hard compound as expected. They've got clean air. They just need to make sure that they forget the car behind them and put some hot laps in. Now is their time to shine. Lap 7 out of 25. They do go off circuit as they get used to the new grip levels that they have available to them. All of a sudden, they have no dirty air and they can push a little bit more compared to what they were doing before. And we'll see what the gap is like. 2.2 seconds, so they've lost a decent amount. Are they able to match the leaders in the next half a lap, or are they going to lose or gain time on this hard compound tyre? We know how quick this top 4 is. But I will also say, Nifo with 50% battery, with overtake mode, Igor does now have 60% as they've been able to hold on nicely to the back of Jericho Willis. They don't have the overtake mode, so that's going to be something that we have to keep an eye on. Feel like Nifo could be somewhat matching the race leaders at this point. They've caught up nicely to Igor and Jericho Willis, but the top 2 have broken away further. Igor goes for the move, going to make them once again in a non-overtake mode situation. Jericho Willis will get that second dose with 40% battery to deploy as well. They're going to be able to get this move into turn 1 quite easily, I would assume. Using the battery though, Igor is getting ahead nicely. Will not get that overtake mode, even though they're now on pretty much no battery at all. 1.5 seconds, still holding on nicely. That being said, Zingy has dropped a fair few tenths behind, so that will go back up very shortly as well. Jericho Willis, sorry, not Jericho Willis, Nifayan has broken away very quickly from Gregorio. Blake hasn't been able to hold on to the back of the Racing Bull, but they are still racing here with the Ferrari car. Ferrari. Alright. Just see Blake hit the wall. I think it was actually a light tap, so they're going to keep themselves nice and alert and make sure that they know what's going on around them, if they can take advantage of any damage or mishaps from any drivers. That's what you're looking for whenever you're racing out on track. Trying to find any opportunity to get through on your rivals no matter what, and you think about the consequence or the emotion later once you've made that move. That's how you're going to win championships. That's how you're going to win the people. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe you won't win the fans over of that, but maybe you will if you're successful enough. Varvar could possibly be a fan favourite here today to try and take their first victory in LSI. They've crossed the line first back in Madrid last time around in LSI on the Friday tier at least. I think they might have even done it on the Saturday tier as well. Every single time they did miss it. P2 their best finish at the last Grand Prix with that safety car. Unfortunately, I was just looking away from the screen. Now, somebody's DNF. Looks like it might have been at the pit wall. I hope it's not. Very Unusual place to crash, yet usual, if you mean it intentionally. Luckily no one's pitted recently, but it does still affect the race. So I do apologise, I will have to check the replay and see if that is the case, and if it is, yep, I'm sorry. I will make sure that's addressed. Ready for the next one, but we do get to see who's going to go into the pits, and that is going to be a big problem. Lots of people just getting drive-through penalties for speeding. That's contact with the wall for Jericho Willis. I think he overtakes Faravar as Faravar cuts the pit lane and will be getting a penalty. There's Gregorio getting a 10-second for speeding. Lots of drivers all of a sudden just carpet bombing the penalties. And that's what you get when you're unprepared to go into the pit lane. But that being said, lap 10, lap 9 is kind of a roundabout where you want to dive into the pit lane anyway. So, shocked to see that. There's a lot of panic from a few drivers. A few drivers, I think, were just unfortunate to get the time penalties. But Blake leads the way out on track right now. It's only a virtual safety car, so they're continuing to go on their strategy. Dinghy directly behind Jericho Willis, who didn't make a pit stop. Sorry, what? I could have sworn I saw Jericho Willis in the pit lane. I think Jericho maybe crashed into the wall and got spawned out onto the middle of the track. I just completely missed that. Fava, they have new tyres on, but they're also a little bit far away. I think he's just got through, so they've got to make an overtake to get to the back of the Scotsman and gain the time that they will have lost. PJ in P6, they haven't pitted. Eagle has pitted. Nifo, well, thought they did pit, but did lots of cars just get despawned across the circuit? Or am I completely missing something? A 3-second time penalty for Nifo. So maybe they went off the circuit and lost the positions. How it happened, but no, I'm still very confused on a lot of things. And that is a big bit of damage, as Blake unfortunately misjudges the pit lane entry. They have damage on that car. Are they going to get it repaired by the game, or is it going to just send them on their way? Unfortunately, going to send them on their way, and they're going to have to go around again. Yellowette gets or retires in the pit lane. Their race is done. No safety car will be deployed. A big shame for a fair few drivers now. I think he leads the way. 1.8 seconds splits the two here, as Cheyenne is going to have to find beast mode to get through. Not S mode, beast mode. Eagle Pro 3.8 seconds away in a comfortable position, but really in a race winning position as they were before. Mark Tunick joining Nifo now, but that's effectively what, 1.8, almost 5 seconds or something away from the race leaders. So they've lost about 3 seconds out of all of this, and they haven't even made a pit stop. So I'm not entirely sure. I just completely missed it all. It was all a little bit chaotic. Lots of drivers getting time penalties. Drivers getting a disadvantage. Blake now behind Aaron directly, but with damage. Luckily for them, in the F1 26 DLC, it's a little bit more manageable to continue driving the car with damage. You have the battery to counteract any lap time lost. And they're going to go for the overtake, maybe, and then go into the pit lane. No, they are going to stay behind and back off. Brian and Eagle trading fastest laps as they try and catch up to the Scotsman. Are we going to see Blake dive into the pit lane? No, they're confident in their front wing enough that they want to go on the attack into turn 1. They're going to try and do it on the brakes around the outside the long way. It's called. Are they going to get there? They have to take a right turn. They've got a bit of front wing damage that's going to not help them as they get that lateral force on. And Aaron can sweep through. What? That's further. I was... Turn 4 strikes again. I was looking at the battle. I completely missed it. Farvar's in the wall. No safety car deployed. What on earth has just happened? Farvar complaining in the chat. Not sure what just happened there. try and find out what did happen. Meantime, you'll go on board with Aaron and Blake. It's Zingy that leads the way by 5.8 seconds as they extend from Eagle, despite Eagle getting the fastest lap. I believe they still hold that title, but we'll just double check. Yeah, they do. By a decent margin. But I guess it's not about the outright fastest lap, it's about the average in the new regulation. If they're in P3, that 3-second time penalty. And then we have Aaron in P4. They don't have damage to their car, so they are a threat to Niffa at the stage of the race. Although Niffa's still got to make their pit stop yet. Blake in P5, a 4.4 second gap to Aaron now with that damage. And it may be time for them to come in. Jericho Willis, who suffered after having some sort of pit lane issue. He's now in P6. Still good to go to the end of the Grand Prix. But pitted one lap later and did not get the benefit of the virtual safety car, but we'll have to check the replay for that. Just about to get some confirmation from Farva. Okay, Willis to P6 in this race after a poor start, the way they wanted it to go today. News from Farva. Unfortunately, I think it was just their own accord, crashing into the inside wall. Easily done. Now, if his tyres very much on the edge of extinction, it might be time for a pit stop. If not now, the next lap. Losing out big time, hoping that they'll get a better advantage later on. Hitting the curve, slowing up, getting a time penalty regardless of it for exceeding track limits for a third time. And Aaron misjudging the amount of speeds that Nifayan just lost because of that mistake, making contact. That's not Nifo's fault. Just an unfortunate situation. They don't dive into the pit lane, so they will wait one more lap before going in. And there's Aaron taking the inside line. Blake is staying out on track. Jericho Willis on the fresh tyres with a fresh front wing. Makes the move. The two drivers from the US making this look like it's an N8 at this stage. Both multi-race winners. They know what it takes. Nifo knows what it takes to win a top tier title as well. Even despite having difficulties, they're continuing to go. Looking strong. They don't have the overtake mode. They've not got any battery, so they are going to lose pretty heavily. Aaron, although being said, they didn't really lose that bad. May have just got another track limit, unfortunately, with this dead tyre. It's surely a call to the pit lane. 2.0 seconds now. Jericho Willis is just going to take chunks of time out of the Dutchman as they travel down the straight. 1.6 seconds into the braking zone. It's going to go by the exit of the corner. 1.5, 1.4. 1.3, almost getting there. Actually, it's more of a battery thing that they're getting the advantage over. And I think they will be overtaking... No, I know that they will be overtaking Nifo on this lap at some point. Oh, and unfortunately, as we're watching, that's it there. That's damage to the Williams. And they're going to have to take that one to the pit lane. It's going to be a hell of a way. That's Cravato in P9 also going into the pit lane on some pretty old tyres. Such a shame there for Nifo. Hitting that curb, those tyres are dead. And you do risk spinning once that happens. Dinger leads, Eager Pro P2 and Aaron in P3 with Jericho Willis hunting them down. This will be our next closest battle out on track that should form at least of what we expect. It is our closest battle on track right now. Anyway, as Jericho Willis continues to blast away from Blake. Finding some good rhythm, and that's what we've seen so far in the F1 26 DLC. Jericho Willis seems to have got better tyre management relative to the rest of the field. They're putting on a hard compound tyre and going to the end of the race. They're just going to get better and better as they continue. Something that can be very dangerous for their opponents when you get into racing. 0.2, 1.3 fluctuating, but almost in overtake range once more. Dives into the pit lane. And what we were hoping for is for them to put those tyres on before they had any damage or issues. And we'd to see if they could make some progress back through the field. Well, we will see them make some progress back. How far through the field can they get from P10? Jericho Willis inbound, you can see them in the background now. It's a matter of when, not if, I think, for the American. Ferrari's doing their best job. But the podium may just be out of reach here today. Gonna have to actually appreciate LSI champions on the grid catching up as much as they are, still superior in battery usage. Overtake boost available, and that will be the slam dunk move by the first corner. Aaron holding some great pace, just can't deal with the might right now. You know what? We should not give up. Race by race, improve a little by little. You will be able to get there. All you need to do is ask this man himself. Starting back in 2024, it would have been in the 23 game possibly, but definitely in a 24 game. And being a midfield driver in the F1.5 championship, becoming a front runner, becoming a winner, and now becoming a front runner in the F1 tier and winning races in the F1 tier. Little by little, slowly but slowly, slowly but surely, they have made big gains. And they're fighting with the big guns. Next up for Jericho Willis is a championship charge. Next stop is the season. Just a few months' time that we're looking to start. Or a month's time, I can't quite remember the dates now. We will be getting that available very soon. Zingy leads by 7 seconds, Eager Pro in P2. This is the battle for the podium. Overtake mode is available for Aaron, but how long can they hold on to for with Jericho Willis 6 tenths behind at the moment. Blake in P5, PJ, Gregorio, Mark, Tunic, Bravato and Nifo Both drivers here on the medium tyres looking to try and catch up to Mark. Time penalty wise, just to double check that one. 9 seconds for Nifo, 3 seconds for Cravato, Gregorio and PJ. And we'll see how that changes, if it changes, later on in the race. And the only driver that isn't on Steam right now, and in this race entirely, is Gregorio. The rest, field, PC platform driver on Steam. Almost look like we're back into the pre-crossplay days. And actually, I think crossplay was available in F122, but it wasn't very often used. It's quite buggy. We didn't see it really be introduced until the F123 game. And talking about bugs, Nifo's decided to try a prototype front wing. It is called Bluetooth, and yeah, no one really knows how it works. It hovers in front of the car, and with absolute aero precision it manages to get pushed along by the front wheels without making contact, opting for extra weight saving. And although you would think it's not actually aero efficient at all, you gain so much more elsewhere in the car. You can actually gain quite a bit more of performance. Of course, that's all of a joke, like the bugs sometimes. But hey, it's character. It's always character. In the meantime, Aaron has lost that delta to Dorica Willis, 1.5 seconds away now, and they could not do anything about it. Cannot blame them at all. Nifo, P10 with Cravato, looking to try and catch up to Mark Tunick. 3.5 seconds away, splitting Cravato from Mark Tunick. Can they find a way on the hard tyre driver? Or are the hard tyres going to have the advantage towards the end? Mark Tunick is one of the drivers with the freshest hard tyres, I should say. Or the driver with the freshest hard tyres, so it's going to be most difficult to catch them, or fight them I should say, at the end. Well, at 21 out of 25, not long to go at all. An unfortunate circumstance with their rival in this race today, after the split of Egapro and Jericho Willis, and especially after the pit stop stage. Zingy lost their rival out on track, but Cheyenne did catch up shortly after. It all went completely the other way. DNFing at turn 4. A classic corner to do it at. No one can blame them for it. Very easy to get wrong. And race over for the Red Bull car. That's allowed Zingy to be free and reign as they wish. Igor, with all the pit stop shenanigans, etc., not quite been able to do anything about it. They were too far gone. Jericho Willis also suffering major issues in this race, and I don't think it was their fault. Have to get an idea of what happened in the post-race interviews. 15.9 second gap to P2, but a great recovery back to the podium. Aaron, a phenomenal performance today, really showing some good pace so far in this race. And even though they're just going to miss out on the podium, strong finish, so strong progress. Maybe a real podium is not too far away. Blake in P5, great to see them back on track. And despite having the damage, they're continuing to get to that checkered flag. Not long to go. PJ doing what they can. They've got Gregorio not too far away, so these guys could get in a scuffle. They're not careful in these final moments. It's a time penalty for Egapro, but that won't affect anything. And Mark Tunick doing what they can to stay consistent in front of both medium tyre runners. Cravato is lurking As long as they don't think about it too much, they'll be okay. Unfortunately, they've had a bit of a moment. They've lost a bit of time to Gravato. They don't have damage. They can still do something in this race and take it home quite nicely. All 10 drivers, as long as they finish the race distance required, will score a point in this race. 1 point for P10, 20 points for P1. That's 16 for P2, 14 for P3, 12 for P4, and 10 for P5. Then we've got 8, 6, 4, 2, and 1. That's your first to 10th. Ooh. And that's a crash in the background. Unfortunately, Nifoyan has had a big moment at turn 22. But no safety car to be deployed because we've completed enough race distance. Just about. By about half a lap. We will not get a safety car in this race. Nifo out in the final moments just as Zingy passes through those corners. Such a shame. I believe they might still score a point in this race because they may have just about completed enough distance. We'll have to double check that later on. And the drama is never far away. Around 2.8 seconds, 2.9 seconds away from Jericho Willis. Gravato is doing something here. They do have a time penalty to think about, but they are catching up. He starts lap 24 to 25, gets ready to finish this race. Try to see what's going to happen between the two further behind as Mark Chunick rivals Gravato. Ferrari versus Aston Martin. So that's something we see quite often in the World Endurance Championship. Maybe we don't, I'm not sure. No, Ferrari can be quite good. Not entirely sure on Aston Martin's performance. Get to the F1 game. All cars are as far as you can say equal. It's about outright performance, setup, optimization, and desire for victory. Zingy begins their final lap. They desire that final moment. Something they've seen many times in their career, leading the final lap of the Grand Prix by a chunk of time as well, just to make it that little bit safer. No one behind them, no one in front, just a clean track. Doing time trial in these final moments. Pro will not jump into the background of our camera. They may do just that. No, not quite making it. Just missing out. Just shows you how far front they really are. Now, Gravato 1.6 seconds, giving it their all. Time penalties will say otherwise. As you can see, 3 seconds for all drivers that have them. And that is going to be probably their best effort unless something goes drastically different here. As we said, Zingy has had a tricky one, at least in the first few moments. They got a brilliant launch off the line and had to battle the Red Bull car for a fair few laps. The pit stops came along. They made the right call. misfortune from their rival, but they kept out of the trouble. Zingy rounds the final corner to return from the break and perfectly perform here in Saudi Arabia. Zingy wins the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, taking victory in Jeddah. Igapro will take another podium position, P2, for their title fight here in the summer season, round 4 in the Friday tier. Jericho Willis claw their way back to the podium. It has not been an easy one for them today, and it does not tell you the story at all. They have done a good job to get to the end. Aaron as well, brilliant performance. Then we've got Blake just further behind, still going with that lack of front wing, but getting the job done. It's side by side between these guys. We didn't see what was going on here. I was just completely oblivious. It's PJ on the inside line, contact and a drag race up to the line, but PJ won't be able to get there. Gregorio will win this battle, as PJ will finish just behind its Mark Tunic and Cravato. Cravato getting within that 1 second range, but it won't be enough in the end. And the checkered flag has been reached. From technical difficulties to retirements, no comms at the start of the race. We finally made it to the end. Everything back to normal. And at least for Zingy, back to normal as well. And the results are on your screen. It's Zingy in P1 with Igapro in P2. Jericho Willis taking the final spot on the podium. We've got Aaron, Blake, Gregorio and PJ, followed by Mark and Cravato. Not scoring a point, unfortunately, will be Nifayan, followed by Farava, Yellowek and Sumbi, who all DNF. The race director's on your screen. We'll scroll through the incident section and through the pit stop section, just in case. It can be a tricky one for track limits here, and we'll get those session results. We'll be back in a bit for the post-race interviews. Hello everyone and welcome to the post-race interviews of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. That was a bit of an interesting one. We start with Jericho Willis. Jericho, beginning, well, you're right in the mix and it looked pretty good. There was a bit of a split just before the pit stop situation, or section, I don't know, which looked a little bit more tricky. But then what happened when it came to actually pitting? Because it all was a bit of a blur for me on the spectator side.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a blur for me as well. But yeah, first off, apologize to Igor because we battled, and I probably didn't battle in the smartest spot, but he just had a different ERS strategy than I did, so it made it kind of easy to pass there. And anyway, it did the move, but it dropped us back off of the top two, which kind of compromised both of our races. So that was unfortunate. So I'm sorry to him for that. Would have been nice just to stay together as a group and be a little bit more patient to stay with the pack. But then, yeah, the virtual safety car came out and, knew pretty much regardless that I was going to pit around that time anyway, give or take a lap. And when I came in, I didn't get any messages, but I was pushing the limit on the entry and might have cut the corner or something, did something to warrant a drive through. That's the only thing I can figure because no message popped up. And once I was in the pit lane, it just kept driving straight through. And so I'm figuring that whatever I did on the entry gave me a drive through, and then I served the drive through immediately. So I didn't get tires. That's what I think happened. But like I said, no messages. Maybe I could look back through the history of the race and see if it shows there. It probably does. I forgot to look. But then from there, it was unfortunate because it took, a couple laps to try to get a little motivation back. I've done this before where you make a big mistake, but your pace is good and you're kind of like, well, do I just stay out and hope for a safety car to bring everybody back together? Or what do you do? It's hard to get that motivation back. But anyway, saw some people ahead of me that I thought I could close in on and maybe get back up into fourth position. And then the podium became available because the DNF there up front. And so, yeah, just kind of pushed back for that. Unfortunately, no safety car came out. Like, I don't know how many people crashed and no safety car came out. I feel like last season I got torched from the safety car coming out multiple times, ruining my strategy. And this year I haven't got lucky with any safety cars when I made a mistake and was back waiting for it to happen. And today was kind of strange because there was just so many people that DNF'd and no safety car came out. But anyway, I'm glad I stuck with it and was able to get back up into fourth and gaining that podium just kind of by sheer luck. So all in all, the pace was good, but it would have been nice to battle to the end with everybody instead of having a bit of a lonely race.
Yeah, frustrating. I understand. I think with the safety cars, at least from what I could see, very unfortunate timing for you. With a few of them, I think the first one, of course, happened. The second retirement happened, but too soon for another safety car to be deployed. But although it was on the edge, so I'm not entirely sure. I think the other retirement was in the pit lane, and then the final retirement was too close to the end of the race to warrant a safety car. So literally every opportunity to not deploy a safety car, somebody retired, I think. So yeah, really unfortunate, but good to keep in it. Well done. Great recovery back to the podium. And thank you very much for all your efforts today. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
And we move on to Gregorio. Gregorio having a nice battle all the way up to the end there. We just missed it, unfortunately, on the very end of it. But looked like you had a good time. And some good racing at the beginning as well.
Yeah, I think first of all, I got to apologise to I think it's PJ.
Yeah, PJ.
At the end of the race, I kind of closed the door and then closed it twice on different directions. I think I just wanted to secure the position and got a bit greedy. But I think everything went well today. I've learned a few things like overfueling the car because in qualifying I was within I think half a second to 7/10. So I'm starting to figure out the battery and stuff. But in the race, I had 3 seconds, three laps more fuel than I needed. And I've started to realize that's causing me to be slow. And and I've been doing that for every race. And I think if I just underfuel the car, the lifting coast will kind of help me regain that back. And I think that's where the pace is missing now. And I think hopefully next time I'll be closer to the front, because I mean, at the start I was keeping up, and then as the fuel got heavier, I just kept slowing down. I couldn't gain.
Yeah. Well, welcome back. Thank you very much for the efforts today, and I hope it can go well for you next time. Do you think you can get a podium some point soon, maybe in the summer season?
I mean,
Your pace is
I'm edging
good.
towards
It's looking good, and I can see the progress.
Yeah, I mean, just got to tweak a few things, learn a few more things, and hopefully I'll have the pace, but I can't guarantee it.
Fair enough. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Well done today. Great effort.
Thank you.
And we move on to Zingy. Zingy, well done. Another victory in Saudi Arabia, another victory in the summer season. At the beginning, it was quite a tight one, although a great launch off the line. No comms for that, so I apologise for the stream quality issues that we had. But yeah, later on into the race, it kind of went your way, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'm very surprised about my pace. I had like no practice coming into it, and then my race start. Cheyenne seems to struggle a lot in the race starts, which I knew coming into the race. So I thought, well, if I just get a semi decent start, and I got a very good start actually, I was able to launch up his inside, and I wanted to get through into first because I don't know, a lot of people like to just be a bit lazy and sit back, but I want to push and get away from as many people as possible, and that's how you secure a good position. And then once the VAC came out, it was kind of set from there. We were going to the end. Jericho got a drive through like as he entered the pit lane, which was very unlucky. And from then on, I don't even know what happened to Igor or anything like that, but it was like 5 seconds of gap, and then I got it out to 10. And I was just driving for most of the race. It was very good, but I had to stay very focused because this track will bite if you're not careful, as we've seen with Cheyenne.
Yeah. And how was the new monitor? Nice and smooth.
It made me like 3/10 a lot faster on that.
Okay, so free time, guys. Not free money,
Pay
but
to win.
free time. Yeah, well, not free time. How to gain time? Buy a new monitor. Thank you very much, Zingy. Well done today. Great effort, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks.
And that's been it for the post-race interviews. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for having patience with the quality issues that we've had, but we'll make sure tomorrow they're all gone, all fixed and all sorted. See you tomorrow for the Saturday tier. Bye-bye.